All right, we're doing the sunflower star salute here. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Calvert, and I'm on the marketing team here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And I'm here today talking with two of our sunflower sea star experts. We're talking about this hopeful and exciting recovery story on the Pacific Coast, the reintroduction of sunflower sea stars. So I'm joined by two people at the heart of this work, Ellen Umeda, Senior Aquarist at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and Mariana, or MJ, Jimenez, a laboratory technician and lab volunteer manager at the Sunflower Star Laboratory. So we're going to get started with a conversation talking about how this partnership with our organizations and others are working together to recover sea stars and why it matters. Also, their careers in marine science and how this can lead to real-world impact. So please join the conversation by commenting. If you're just joining us now, again, we're at the Monterey Bay Aquarium talking about sunflower sea stars. Feel free to make a comment and ask questions. But I'm going to get started with you two. So for anyone who's new to this story, can you please talk a little bit about what is a sunflower sea star and why is its recovery so important to ocean ecosystems?
So sunflower sea star, if you can see the plushie in front of me, it's the world's largest and fastest sea star, and they can grow up to 24 arms. They can come in a variety of colors like reds, purples, browns, and they can have up to 15,000 tube feet as well. And they're voracious predators in their ecosystems.
Did you say 15,000 tube feet?
Yeah.
So the little...
Yeah, so
okay.
Underneath.
All right.
And it's really amazing to see all those tube feet in action. They like work together. They sort of gallop if you get to see a cool video of them walking along the seafloor. And so again, they can get up, they are large, and so they can get up to like a meter long in diameter. So they're huge sea stars. And in terms of their importance to our ecosystems, they are, again, predators. And so their presence in an ecosystem can really control sort of top down with grazers like purple urchins and abalone. And so, they're very important for maintaining balance in ecosystems.
Awesome. And before we dive into all the details, can you briefly explain how the Sunflower Sea Star Recovery Project is solving a problem that exists? So either one of you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think the story behind these sunflower sea stars is they used to be found all the way from Alaska down to Baja California, Mexico. But in 2013, a disease called sea star wasting disease came through, and it actually wiped out a very large percentage of these sunflower sea stars. And they're no longer in the southern portion of their range. But this disease also affected a lot of other species of sea stars, and essentially what it would cause these sea stars to do, if they were impacted by it, it would cause them to sort of just melt away into this pile of goo, and then they were gone. Yeah. So, it was pretty devastating to see, and specifically in Monterey, we used to have these sunflower sea stars everywhere. I got certified to dive here in 2010, and I remember seeing them because they were massive, and you're like, what is this thing? But now you just don't even see them, and it's crazy. Yeah. And so, I think specifically with the project it's a huge collaboration between a lot of institutions, public aquariums, a lot of scientific researchers, just really trying to learn more about these animals and how do we raise them up, because this is something we never even had to think about before. They were everywhere, so it's like we don't need to know anything like how to raise them up. So just learning that, and then what their role is in the ecosystem, like as Mariana was saying, like how they're really important in eating sea urchins and how that affects the health of kelp forests and the balance of it all. So anything to add?
I mean, numbers wise of in terms of the loss of the sunflower sea star, more than 90%, which is equivalent to about 6 billion sunflower sea stars, which blows my mind each time. That's the huge dramatic decline that we're talking about. Yeah.
So MJ, what happens at the Sunflower Star Laboratory, and can you walk us through how these sea stars are raised in human care?
Yeah, so at Sunflower Star Laboratory, we're a conservation aquaculture facility. And so we have just under 100 sunflower sea stars in our care. And so, yeah, we're taking care of these animals 7 days a week. And so we give them a lot of TLC. And, you know, there's not a lot of knowledge as to like the behavior and just the life history of sunflower sea stars. And so we have this really unique position to learn all that we can about them. And we definitely enjoy working with them.
What does TLC include? Is it feeding them special things or playing music for them or what?
I mean, I definitely have played music for them. But yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, mostly it's been feeding them and tracking their growth and their health. But when feeding time comes around, we do have fun feeding them and seeing them consume a bunch of urchins and other animals as well. But the urchins, feeding them the urchins is really interesting and really fun to see. Yeah.
And Ellen, what role do you play as an aquarist at the Monterey Bay Aquarium? What role do you play in this project?
Yeah, so similarly, we also have sunflower sea stars here that we're raising behind the scenes right now. The same cohort, same group, so they're all brothers and sisters. And we have a team of aquarists, so myself and 3 others, Christy, Maria, and Brianna. Shout out to them for helping out with this really awesome project. But we are also just, you know, we have these stars behind the scenes. We're trying to figure out like what foods do they eat, how big are they getting, how fast are they growing, and just being able to sort of watch them in their behaviors and kind of just see how they develop, because as I was saying, we don't know much about that. Yeah.
Speaking of unknowns, so we're talking about eventual reintroduction to the ocean, and what are some big unknowns going into that? And in the trial that you did recently, what did you all learn from that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest unknown was like, will they survive? Because, you know, we had different systems. So like, for example, at Sunflower Star Laboratory, we have a recirculating aquaculture system. So, you know, all of our water is coming from the ocean, but it's, you know, filtered very, you know, finely and recirculating. And so that's our specific system, whereas California Academy of Sciences has sort of artificial seawater. And so our stars were in very different conditions. And Monterey Bay Aquarium, you have like raw natural seawater, right?
Yeah, well, we actually, yes, we do. We do get water directly from the ocean, but because we're concerned about, you know, the disease, we do filter our water too. Okay. But still, yes, it is Monterey Bay water, essentially.
And so, seeing if our stars would survive being in the ocean, I feel like was one of our biggest unknowns, and they did really well.
So if you're just joining us, we're on doing this live stream talking with 2 specialists on sunflower stars, and Ellen from Monterey Bay Aquarium and MJ from Sunflower Star Labs. And we're talking about the potential recovery of this species, and a recent trial that they did where they actually put them back into the ocean for the month of October, and were able to observe their behavior in the ocean. So what does success look like for this project in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think just being able to put them into the ocean, obviously they were in cages, so they couldn't roam around. We were able to we brought them back in. But even just that is a huge step to just seeing if they can survive. And I think, you know, next steps are, can we keep them out there longer? Will they survive for a longer duration? I think one of the big things with the disease that came through is that it was sort of, you know, it also came at the same time when the ocean was a little bit warmer than it usually is. And so that additional stressor may have caused that disease to really explode. So, you know, when we think about the future in the next 5 to 10 years, we have to think about like the ocean's changing, and how, if we put these stars back out, are they going to be able to survive that long-term duration? So, yeah.
So we've been talking about this sea star and the survival, but we also want to talk with this audience about careers, because this is an interesting career path that both of them have taken. If you're just joining us again, we're at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. We're talking to 2 specialist experts in sunflower stars, and raising them, studying their behavior, and working towards their eventual reintroduction and thriving in the wild. So everything we've talked about kind of is about that and the recovery efforts, but I'd love to shift gears now and talk more about yourselves. And so I'll start with Ellen. So you mentioned that you, to me in private conversation before this, that you work with animals here at the aquarium. And can you tell us what animals you work with and how you got interested in sunflower sea stars?
Yeah, so I actually work with the jellyfish. So if you've ever been to the aquarium, so all that, the jellyfish in our gallery, the local jellyfish, and then my team also does the first section of the Into the Deep exhibit, so our deep sea jellies as well. But so one unique thing about our local jellies is that we raise a lot of them behind the scenes, and so we're growing them. And so I've always had this passion for growing animals and what I call spawning animals. And so I was doing jellies, and then I was like, let's try something else. And I was like, let's try spawning some bat stars and seeing if we can raise those up, and sea cucumbers. And then this project came along to work with the sunflower sea stars. And it was like, well, if you've already been doing their relatives, bat stars and sea cucumbers, do you have an interest in working with sunflower stars? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I think it's a really cool project to be a part of.
Cool, Ellen. And if you could go back a little bit, could you tell us how you got interested in sea life and what you studied in your path to the aquarium? And how long have you been with us here at the aquarium?
So yeah, I actually hit my 10-year anniversary last year. So that was exciting. But I have always kind of had an interest in nature, outdoorsy stuff. I grew up in Sunnyvale, if you're familiar with the Bay Area, and I grew up coming to the aquarium as a child, and so I just kind of really liked the ocean and animals. And so when I went to college, I majored in ecology, behavior, evolution, and minored in marine science at University of California, San Diego. And after that, I did some like random internships. I actually didn't do anything like specifically aquarium related, like raising animals or anything aquarium related. I did more of the research aspect with like plankton and collecting plankton and looking at, that kind of stuff. But I got an internship here right after I graduated, and I was like hooked on it because I like anything that's very hands-on and you can like raise stuff up. And I was raising cuttlefish up at the time, and so I did that. And so then I kind of worked here temporarily for a temporary position. There weren't any permanent openings at the time, so I actually left and I went to a different aquarium. I went to Ripley's Aquarium of Canada in Toronto, Canada, so that was fun. Worked there for a couple years, and then Canada's too cold for me. I grew up in California, so I couldn't handle it. And then so I moved back here, and when there was no opening, and I've been here since. Yeah, that's sort of my journey. I've I like taking care of animals, raising them up.
Yeah, well, we're so lucky to have you here, Ellen, at the aquarium. Ellen's hands are everywhere in a lot of projects and working with a lot of our animals that you see on the exhibit. We don't have any sunflower stars right now, do we?
So yeah, we have them behind the scenes. We are working on getting them on exhibit. But yes, we hope to eventually put them on exhibit because we definitely want to share them with everyone.
Very cool.
Everyone should get to see them. So yeah.
And
to be
continued.
Someday.
Okay.
If they want to see some, they can come to Sunflower Star
Oh
Lab.
yeah, they can come to Sunflower Star Lab. So talk about that. So MJ, you are also a veteran of the aquarium, having worked here before. Can you talk a little bit about your career path coming into this line of work, and then also about your job at the Sunflower Star Laboratory?
Yeah, totally. So I graduated with my degree in marine science from local university CSUMB. And so when I was there, I was doing a lot of undergraduate research in like observation ecology. And so when I graduated from there, I was looking for careers and jobs in marine science. And so I had applied for an internship through Minorities in Aquaculture, which had an internship through Sunflower Star Laboratory. And so I really wanted to transition into like more hands-on sort of like growing animals, and just aquaculture in general. And so, I applied for that internship and I had gotten it, and it was a part-time internship. And I also really wanted to continue doing sort of like education around the ocean. And so I was also working as a bilingual education specialist through the education department here at the aquarium. And so I was doing both of them. And I really enjoyed sort of like, doing the hands-on science, but also communicating science as well. And so I really enjoyed that. And so I'm from Southern California. I'm from Orange County. I never grew up going to the beach because it's further away than you think when you're in the city. And so I had always had this like passion to get involved and be near the ocean. And now I get to live in this really awesome, beautiful place, and it's a really cool place to be. So, yeah.
Very cool. And tell us, so how does managing lab volunteers contribute to both the science and workforce development in this field? And how does someone become a lab volunteer if there's someone local in the Monterey area that could come see the Sunflower Star Lab? Because as you mentioned, you welcome visitors and guests, and people can come in and see your research.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what it's like to manage that team and how someone becomes a volunteer?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of our volunteers are watching, so I'm like, hi. But yeah, so our volunteers are very appreciated at our lab. We truly couldn't do it without them. And so, yeah, the work that they do is sort of like, it's a lot of different things, whereas like they're maintaining sort of like our microalgae cultures, to monitoring our animals, to helping with data entry. And so their work is very essential to the work that we're doing. And so sometimes we get people that have a bunch of experience, but also students that don't have much experience. So we get to kind of help mentor them and bring them into our lab space and help them grow their skills that way. But yeah, and we have, again, our lab is open to folks who are there 7 days a week, but on the weekends we have outreach that help bring tours into the lab. And so, yeah, if anyone's interested in becoming a lab volunteer, on our website we have different pathways, a lab pathway, but also an outreach pathway. And so if folks are interested, they can look up on our website.
Very cool. And what does it take to be in charge of these sea stars? Do they require 24-hour monitoring, or you close the door and shut off the lights and put them to bed?
Basically, every single time I go into the lab and leave the lab, I always say hi and bye, just because, they're really cool animals, and I just enjoy working with them. But so again, we're there 7 days a week, but we do have sort of like alarm systems to kind of keep us like in the loop, even though we're not there. But we do try to have this sort of work-life balance to have that. But our stars, if we could be there 24 days, we definitely would. It would be cool to see how they behave during the night. But we got to sleep too.
And when you step back from this research and the work you've been doing, and you think about this work, what keeps you motivated and hopeful about the future of the ocean?
I feel like... Yeah, there's so many ways to answer this question, but I feel like the ocean's resiliency keeps me very, very hopeful, and especially in collaboration with like all the folks that, are doing the work to help in any way that we can. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm very motivated by all the groups of people that are doing the work, that, also share their, stories of like hope with us as well, and how our work influences them. But also my friends and family and the ocean keep me hopeful and motivated. And so I have a lot of hope. Yeah.
And what about you, Ellen? What would you say about your hope in the future for the ocean?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar lines. I think it's really cool when you have a huge group of people that all are working toward this project and really like trying to save a species, and it's really cool to be a part of it. And even though the aquarium's only been, I guess, part of this for maybe a couple years, it's crazy to see the progress that's been made so far, and where it could potentially go. And so I think putting the stars out in Monterey Bay for the first time, and they haven't been here in years. That to me was just like monumental, and just really like a motivation to keep going with this project for sure.
Yeah, it's very grassroots, and I feel like that's one of the coolest things about it is, community got together because they had the passion, and the community's helping keeping it going, and so it's really special.
Yeah, it is. Well, I can speak for someone who works at the aquarium as well, though I'm in marketing and I don't have my hands on animals on a daily basis, but I am inspired to be working around people who are so connected to the ocean and connected to our mission to conserve the ocean. So it's really great to get to talk to you both today. And I want to thank you for sharing not just the science, but also the collaborative efforts that are happening in our community. It's really a testament to what we can do here in our local area of bringing a species back from the brink. So thank you for everyone who joined us today. And if this conversation inspired you at all, please stay connected with us at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Take action. Check out the Sunflower Star Labs. Follow us on socials and go to our website and look at the page that's all about sunflower stars. There's a lot of interesting facts about these animals that can grow to be not just this big, but how big?
A meter.
A meter in length.
Yes,
enormous in size. So thank you so much, and we encourage you to stay in touch with us, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for coming down here.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah, and we have to do the
The
sunflower
star
signal. Bye.